Hi guys, I hope you're all well. This is Rob from the Exit Live channel. What I wanted to do today is talk to you about. I was going to do a few pubs that are haunted, or supposedly haunted, but I decided just to stick with one that I know and I've been to, and it's where I grew up in Manchester. So before we kick off, can you please hit that like button and hit the notification button if you haven't already done so, and please share this video with your friends. I'm going to be concentrating on specific places now, so I can give you more information, and you can maybe look it up yourself, and if you ever do visit any of the places that I'm talking about, you can look up the pub and maybe go in and have a drink and see if they've got any real spirits other than the ones that are behind the bar. Anyway, I'm from a place called, Blackley Middleton area in North Manchester, which, if you are not new to the channel, you will know, because I think I probably say it every single time where I'm from. But we have a small little town called Middleton. It's sort of be just outside, getting towards the outskirts of Manchester, and there's a parish church, a beautiful old parish church, and next to the parish church is a pub called the Ring o' Bells, and it's in Middleton, and it's supposedly one of the most haunted places in the whole of the UK. So let me start and try and take you on this tour. The land that lends itself to the pub was once the site of an ancient Druid temple in the Bronze Age, where dark rituals and human sacrifices often took place. From the off, this little patch of land has been home to spirits. The pub itself goes back to the 12th century. The 12th century, Tracy. Come on, play the game. And it has been a hotbed of eerie happenings ever since. The Ring o' Bells resident ghost is nicknamed Edward, also known as the Sad Cavalier. He is often found moving glasses along the bar, stomping with heavy footsteps upstairs, mooning even, moaning and groaning, and even throwing the occasional rock at the landlord or regulars. It is thought that Edward is the son of Lord Stanycliffe, and he died during the Civil War in a brutal massacre. Well, Lord Stanycliffe, there is a part of Middleton called Borshire, and there is actually the main road in Borshire is Stanycliffe Lane. Bit of a useless information. Anyway, at this time Middleton was a strong parliamentary camp, and the group of royalists, including Edward, were using the pub as a secret base. There have been tales of a tunnel that ran directly from the pub to the local parish church, which is a matter of... they share a car park, so it's a matter of, say, 200 feet. Maybe. Yeah, about 200 feet between the two. So where was I up to? Tunnel that ran directly from the pub to the parish church. The tunnel was for escaping the Roundheads if they were ever caught plotting against Cromwell. Many people have speculated that the sitting room in the upper floor is where Edward did his secret plotting, and it is not uncommon to experience sudden spine-tingling temperature drops in this room. One dark, wintry night, Edward and the royalists were going along as they normally did, plotting their revenge, but the Roundheads were waiting for them. What followed was a brutal massacre, where they were not only killed and dismembered and buried in the cellar of the Ring o' Bells pub, The only remains of that night were helmets, spears, and other historical effects. There have yet to be any bodies found in the tunnel to this day, and the tunnel remains undiscovered. Isn't it funny that you can grow up in a place and pass a place all the time, go in a place? I've been in there drinking. Yes, Tracy, I've been in most places drinking, but that's besides the point. You can go to these places and you don't realise the history. You don't realise the kind of... I think we're going to be doing a podcast on a thing called the stone tape theory, which is basically means that stone, wood, other other building materials and other objects that people would say are inanimate can actually take in the history like a tape recorder, and then years and years later can sort of play that over, and that's maybe what ghosts are. But I don't want to give too much of the podcast away, so but keep your ears open for the stone tape theory, because it is something that a lot of people, especially ghost hunters, are looking at the moment. And it's not so much a new thing, but yeah, it's very interesting, and I think you'll enjoy the podcast. But getting back to the Ring of Bells. Okay. There is not only haunting murders that happen at the Ring of Bells. A pair of serial killer landlords lived in the pub in the 17th century. The legend goes that over 60 murders were committed by the landlord and his wife. The targets were the wealthy guests disposing of bodies into a specially hinged bed of boiling liquid. They made a fair bob or two from the victims' valuables too. Well, that sounds something like H.H. Holmes Hotel and Sweeney Todd. I never knew that. It's safe to say that ever since there have been ghostly figures wandering the walls of the Ring of Bell pub, some of the scariest encounters include cold, invisible hand pulling at the pocket of punters. Could that be the serial killer couple still after your valuables? There are certainly plenty of cold spots, sightings of figures, and generally a feeling of not being alone in the pub even after the doors close. If you think you could handle one of the scariest pints you might ever have, put the Ring of Bells pub on top of your places to visit after lockdown. While there is, you'll say hello to Edward. Just give him mine and Tracy's best if you ever bump into him. So that's the Ring of Bells. It's a beautiful pub. They have big hanging baskets in the summer that overflowing with beautiful flowers, and it's quite picturesque, and it is a nice, beautiful pub. Inside, it's very homely. Big coal fire, or it used to have a big coal fire. You know, it's a lovely pub. So, you know, I would tell people to try and visit if they can. If Tracy ever manages to come over to the UK, it's one of the places I'm going to take her, to the Ring of Bells, and show around a few haunted places in Manchester, and obviously up in Cornwall where I live. So anyway, guys, I hope you don't mind me whittering on. I hope that you've enjoyed this little chat about the Ring of Bells, and we've got podcasts coming up. Things are a bit slow at the moment. There's been a lot of stuff going on away from the podcast side of things, but we're going to start getting back into the swing of things now. And like I said, we're going to be doing a podcast on the stone tape theory. So guys, I hope you've enjoyed this. Take care of yourselves, look after each other, and God bless and stay safe.